Okay, so welcome back to another guitar session with Jason Carey. Today we are going to discuss how to play, and we're going to learn how to play Knockin' on Heaven's Door. And there are so many versions of this song that we could, sort of reach for. But what we are going to do is we are going to do this tonight with our trusty tambourine again. And if you don't have one of those, I don't know, they're probably available on the internet somewhere. I bet you can find one. They're wicked cool and wicked fun to add a completely new dimension to your practice and performance routine. So, and we usually start with a nice tune-up just to make sure that we're all in tune with each other. So, once again, if you are attending this live chat, this live session, you can indeed go ahead and ask any questions that you have right there in the live chat box. And you guys know how to use YouTube because you're here using the live chat and you're watching a live stream. So feel free to dive right in there and hit us up in the chat. We have a moderator tonight. We're here at Studio Carey in Augusta, Maine, and I want to give a shout out to our remote location in Belgrade. Hey Catherine, hey Percy. And we have our moderator tonight is Mr. Aaron. So if you have questions, Aaron will be here taking care of your requests and your questions. So please do not hesitate to ask, and that's what we're here for. And I was driving around this morning in the southern end of the state of Maine here in Falmouth, and I was just listening to Bruce Coburn's newest record, and I forget the name of it. Is it Bone to Bone, or I forget the name, but it's a really cool record. And I thought, how nice is life where we can actually listen to and enjoy great music from great songwriters from all over the world just by typing in a few on your chiclet keyboard or your little iPhone there. How good is it where we can share music so readily and experience all this stuff that I couldn't really experience when I was a teenager. So I had to go to the record store, and it was all the way to the other end of town. And I'm sure there are others who can relate to my pain. But fortunately for now, we're going to talk about Knocking on Heaven's Door. It's been an old favorite of mine, and it's an old favorite of ours, I think. And we're going to jump right in, I think. I'm assuming that everyone's in tune. And if you aren't in tune, just let me know. We'll stop and we'll do a little tune-up. But we'll get right into the meat and potatoes, okay? If you like the meat and potatoes up here in Maine, you gotta keep it simple. So, the first chord you can choose whether you want to employ a G chord, your favorite G, and if do you want to play it like, Ray LaMontagne's Jolene G chord, or an Eagles G chord, or Warren Zevon G chord, or do you want to do like the old Bob Dylan, G chord? At that time where he was earning Pete Seeger's trust, So it doesn't matter to me which G chord you use for this song, and partially how you're performing the song, because it's such a classic and it's so well understood. We've got our puppy moderator here tonight too, Bowser. Mascot.
Yeah.
All right, so he won't be doing any moderating. I've been informed.
Yeah,
is he strictly off limit for moderating?
He's here for support.
He's going to support the session. All right.
If you like him to moderate,
He may hit the keyboard accidentally.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. So the G chord is going to be, you could also use the G chord, and your chord choices are really going to affect, and it's going to make an impact on how you present the song to your audience. And so these little choices make a difference. If you were to use this G chord here, you have all those open strings, 3 open strings. That's a wonderful thing to experience on the acoustic guitar, right? So we could do that, or we could do the old, the G5, like the tighten up the sound a little bit, like like that Nashville G. So we have that fret 3 on the low E string, and we're choking out the A. Open 2 middle strings, 3rd fret on the B, and 3rd fret on the high E. If you've been playing guitar with me for a while now, you know this chord shape. It's one of my favorites. But we'll see how we end up in the song. The next chord is going to be a D, and I think we know this one. You can play D like this if you want to use fingers 1 and 2 on the frets 2 and 3, and you can play 4th finger on fret number 5 on the D on the high E string. You get this really nice power chord shape that you can move all over the guitar. It's a really fun shape. So it's kind of a cool thing to use on it in its own right, but you could use the traditional sort of folky D if you want. This thing called love, right? So there's that D chord that you would use for that song. And then the next chord, so let's come from G. And then we're moving over to C. Okay, so we'll start with C. The first time around we end up on C. We'll move from G to D to C. And we could use that C with, let's just keep it simple for now. We'll use finger 3 on the open A, and then finger 2 on the D string, open G, and then finger 1 on the B. Do we have a button for extreme close-ups?
That's in the works.
Okay, all right. Whoa!
I could do it manually, but
it's so funny that it's like parallels that
yeah.
That whole
Anyway.
yeah.
Meat and potatoes. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the song. Friends.
So moderator, thank you, Mr. Moderator.
All right.
So we got the old, we get that C chord we can rely on. Okay, so G, and then the D, and then C, we'll do 2 times around on the C, and then we'll head back to G. And then we'll head to the D, and then A minor. First, right? Mama, take this badge, company. Right, it's A minor first, so we're using open A, 2, 2, right? So 2nd finger on the 2nd fret on the D string, 3rd finger on the 2nd fret on the G, finger 1 on fret number 1 on the B, and then open high E. Okay, so it's a really nice open A, and a bunch of stuff in the middle, all the way up to the open high E string. We can choke off that low E string with that thumb, kind of give it a little bad technique, and just get the fleshy part of that thumb right on the guitar, right here. And that will help to clean up the sound. It's not bad if we have that E in the bass. It's not a bad thing, but it just tightens up the sound if we don't have it, if we omit the E in the bass. This is a great song because if you were a solo acoustic guitar musician, you can add all this other stuff in here that just by adding fingers to the chords you're already fingering, ahead and expand that entire process. Instead of using the G over here, we could use the G up here, kind of like Dave Matthews might do. We've got that G note. So we all know, I think they're, just in case we don't know, triads are built using 3 separate tones. Okay, so if we were playing a G chord, this G triad, it's a triad. Oh, is it a triad? Here, there are 6 strings in here. How's it a triad? Triad means 3. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just move from that G over here, give us this shape right here. So finger 3, this is a G with a B in the bass. Okay, so fret 7 on the low E string, fret 5 on the D, and fret 7 on the G. And then we're choking out the A string. Okay, so we'll use that in place of the G down here. So we'll use that nice chord shape, and every single string that we're not fretting, we're choking out. We're removing it. We're removing them to create a more clean sound. We could open up all of the strings and we get a sound that we could use, but it's not really for this song. Unless you want it to be, of course. The next chord we're looking for is D, and we just happen to have a D chord right here. Okay, see where we're going with this? And then the A minor, okay, the D, let's just talk about what happened to get from that G with the B in the bass, G, A, B in the bass, to the D chord with A in the bass, G, A. We moved from finger 3 over here on the low E string down to finger 2 on the low E string, and then finger 1 on the D string on fret number 4. 4th finger kind of stays where it is. So we're moving from G with B in the bass to D with A in the bass, a little chunkier sound, and then we're moving to A minor. It's very similar to the G chord, but with that 1st finger pushed back, okay? So G, and then D, and then A minor. And with all of those strings choked, and only the strings fretted being audible, we can control the tone of the guitar simply by, or we can control the duration of the notes that we strum, rather, by removing the pressure that's been applied to holding those frets against the fretboard. So we can create really short, percussive sounds. That way the song has somewhere to go. So the first time we move in from G with B in the bass to D with A in the bass to A minor with A in the bass, and then the second time around we're moving that D chord down a whole step to C with a G in the bass. And that leads us into the next area. So what happens when we start here? The whole song is pretty much these chords. Okay, so we've pretty much learned the entire format of the song. Now we're learning about how to take it to new places. So when I play those truncated or shorter chords, and then we open up the guitar to full open position guitar chords with open strings, it seems just so much bigger, and it just means so much more when you get to the chorus, and it all opens up. Mama, take this badge off of me. And you have all vocal talent here. You've kind of transported everyone in the room, or your audience, somewhere else, musically somewhere else. Okay, so we can also use, instead of the lower 3 strings of the guitar, we can use the top 3 strings of the guitar to do a very similar thing. To take us away from the lower range of the guitar, the open range, the open position of the guitar, we play a G chord up here on position number 7. And then, let's see, a G up here. And then we're going to D, and then A minor. And back to G, and then D, still, and then C is the same as, I guess, D, but down a whole step. Okay, so that can go somewhere else. Oh, yeah, moderator's taking care of business here. So at this point, I probably could encourage you, if you like what's going on, go ahead and encourage your friends to subscribe. And if you haven't already subscribed, do the same thing, please. That would be great. We love to have new membership and love to hear about your guitar concerns. So give us a little, we like to say give us a little less, but really it means more, because we like to have you like, share, and subscribe, and anything else in a positive manner that you could do to help us grow, that would be totally acceptable at this point. At any point in the future henceforth. Okay, so thank you again for watching, but we're going to continue on. So what happens if we started, thank you Mr. Moderator, by the way. Good call.
Pleasure.
So if we started up here on the top end of the guitar, top 3, just 3 strings, we have a very small voicing here. And you could really get some breath behind your voice. Oh, take this badge off of me. Just use your imagination, right? Oh, I can't use it anymore. Don't forget the breath. It's getting dark, too dark to see. You know, you can get all emotional. Feel like I'm knocking on heaven's door.
You're the one making the music, right?
Yeah. And then we can go down here and darken it up a little bit and draw our audience in. Just a little, the same chords, right? Then when it's time to hit him over the head with the chorus, that's exactly what, knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. That's exactly what's going to happen. And I mean, yeah, that's exactly what the intent is here. Okay, so do you have any questions? Do we have any questions or anything like that? Anything popping up?
Have you mentioned Eugene?
Who?
Song for Eugene.
Oh, that's a good. That's a really cool thing to mention.
It's up. It was uploaded in your chat.
Is it in the chat?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. So a while ago, a few weeks ago, I wrote a song called "Song for Eugene," and it's an attempt to help raise some funds for a worthy cause, and for people who are working on for law enforcement. If you're interested in supporting that, buy the song. By all means, it's $1. I think depending on which retail outlet you're choosing, you can get it on iTunes for like $1. I think 99 cents. And what we want to do is just build a little contribution to the charitable fund. It's a scholarship fund, I believe, for Eugene Cole, who was a Somerset County sheriff in Maine. You could Google it if you're interested. A really good cause. There are so many good causes out there, but this is a really good one. And it's a fun song. By fun, I mean it's one of those songs that I feel good about writing, and I also feel good about sharing. And thank our moderator for reminding me to share that. So, are there any other questions?
Not at this moment.
So if we don't have any questions, what we're going to do is just do a quick review. Okay, so we've learned a really important song for our repertoire, which could be, the whole song could just be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and T and 4 and 1 and T and 4 and 1 and 2 and down, up, down, up, down, up. And you could strum the entire range of the strings. Or you could shorten up your right hand a little bit. So that we're only strumming, 2 or 3 strings at a time. And that helps to give us a little more capacity on each chord. Okay, we also learn to get away from open position and start trying some other ways to play. Looking for some other places to play a G chord, Here's a good one. Here's another good one. It looks a lot like the D chord with the A in the bass, right? So we could play G, and then we could play D, and then we could play A minor, and then we go to A minor up here. And then we actually talked about the low 3 strings, the lower range of the guitar, right? And then we also divided the guitar into a higher range where we were using the same 3 chords, G, D, and A minor, and then G, D, and then C. We could use C up here. It's kind of shaped like that F chord instead of this chord, which is shaped like the A chord, right? You following me? So we have 3 solid places to just sort of help us take this song to new levels and just gain a little more listener appreciation. We put a little more work into our presentation, and listeners frequently will communicate that they appreciate that to the performer. And what we do is we just say, thank you very much for listening. Just like I'm going to say to you now, thank you very much for watching another live guitar session. So we're playing guitar now with Jason Carey every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So like, share, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. And if there are no more questions, I'm just going to play the song and have some fun and wish that you come back and invite you to come back again next week. So we'll see you all again soon. Knocking on Heaven's door.